What's up, everyone? It's Greg Tastic here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about something different, but it's also something I thought would make for an interesting video because whenever I bring up the subject around my friends or just people that I meet, or even when I'm in the middle of it, people who are also doing it stop and ask how is your day going and for different strategies and stuff like that. And that's delivering food with a ride sharing app. Today we're going to look at Uber Eats and DoorDash. I know there are other apps out there, but those are the only two that I've used. And DoorDash I haven't used that much because of reasons I'm going to get into the video. Uber Eats I have like 600 or 700 trips in, so I consider myself to be quite familiar with it. And definitely for the purposes of this video, but also in life, I guess I tend to stick to just delivering food orders because I know you could, especially Uber, you could drive people around. I did maybe 10 trips of that a few years ago, and for me, it's not worth the money to introduce people into your car for various different reasons, for having to deal with them and any issues that happen. For the reason that I stopped is picking up three big dudes at a mall and having to drive them around. And between me being a big dude and three of them being big dudes, I was like, there's only so much of this that my car could take before something bad happens. Like, is one thing I was picking up like a mom and her daughter and they go in the back seat, that's one thing. But to pick up three big dudes and have them all in the back seat, that was my point of I don't want to do this anymore. So anyway, not to get sidetracked, today we're going to look at Uber Eats and DoorDash. I'm just going to basically compare how the services work, how the apps work, and which one I would recommend. This is not going to be something in depth, but I find that a lot of my friends will just text me or hit me up and be like, oh, I just signed up for DoorDash, or oh, I just signed up for Uber Eats. And they really don't know anything about it except that it's some type of side hustle and they're trying to make some money. But I figured I'd make this video and give people an idea of what to expect and which one I would recommend to them if they were choosing one. So, to just briefly go over the apps and how they work, we're going to start with DoorDash. And DoorDash, when you sign up, is going to ask you for your home address and is going to put you into a zone. And basically, there are exceptions that I'll get into, but for the most part, you have to deliver in what your zone is. So there may be towns or cities, like a couple towns over, that you're familiar with and you know that area. But if it doesn't fall into your zone, you're not going to be able to deliver there. When you start the app and you want to go on and make some money, you basically you start a dash. So that's where like the whole DoorDash thing fits in. Like, they're going to ask you what time you want to dash until. So say it's 1 o'clock right now for me. If I wanted to work for 2 hours, I would choose 3 o'clock as my end time. Luckily, you aren't forced to keep that end time. Like, if you want to stop early, you can. But it is like this whole little process of selecting your dash time and when you're delivering. And if you want to deliver longer, you got to extend your dash time. Maybe this is something that would be restrictive if there were more drivers, but I think maybe because the demand for drivers is so high, they don't restrict you too much on that. But the thing that you do need to remember with DoorDash is that you can't leave your zone. So you could leave your zone, you could pick up an order in your zone and deliver it outside of your zone. But once you're in that zone, you need to go back to your original zone to pick up more orders. The other thing with DoorDash is when you get an order, there's gonna be a time that they want you to pick it up by and a time they want you to deliver it by. I haven't missed any of these times yet, so I'm not sure if there's a punishment for it, but they do give you like a time frame for, usually it's pretty fair, but every once in a while, especially, you're going to find if you start doing this that the restaurants always aren't on top of their game as far as having the food ready or attending to you if they're busy. So you're going to find that your times can get messed up. Uber Eats, comparing it is a lot easier because there's no zones. There are zones in Uber Eats as far as like this area might be busy and this area might be less busy, but you could start your Uber Eats delivering in any area and you could stop it in any area and it doesn't ask you how long you want to deliver for. So a lot more freedom there as far as you could start wherever you want, you could stop whenever you want. It's a lot more less restrictive as far as what it demands from you. The other thing that I actually forgot to say about DoorDash is when you're using DoorDash and you pick up multiple orders, so you could get like 2, 3 orders at a time. And DoorDash lets you kind of manage those orders and decide which one you want to deliver first or which one you want to work on at that time. Uber Eats is going to do that for you and just choose the order that you're going in. The nice thing about the Uber Eats way is that you don't need to do any thinking. Like, it's going to choose where you go. The bad thing is, like, you could pick up an order from Carvel and an order from Applebee's, and it will tell you to deliver the Applebee's before the Carvel. And if it's like a hot day, you could end up with an unhappy customer, I guess. So the other thing about Uber Eats is that it doesn't have like a time that you need to get it there by. I guess you still have an unhappy customer if you decide to just take forever to deliver it, but they're not ranking, I don't know, ranking or keeping track of how many late deliveries you have like DoorDash is. Using the apps is frustrating for me. Either one. Let me just talk off the bat about something that these apps need to fix, in my opinion. And that is that, okay, so you're driving, right? This is a driving service. So the applications, they pop up when someone has a delivery. They're both the same, like they pop up and then they have an accept button and a little X to reject it if you don't want to take it. And that's okay when you're waiting for an order, but when you're in the middle of delivering orders and you're looking at GPS, or sometimes when you are actually physically dropping the order at someone's house and they want you to take a picture of the order that you dropped it, like these things will just pop up and it's extremely frustrating, especially if you're almost done with the order. Like, how hard would it be to program into the app to wait until the order is dropped off and then pop up with the new trip? But that's both apps are like that, and that's just my gripe with that. But anyway, once you accept or reject, well, if you would accept an order, if you reject it, obviously this isn't going to happen. But once you accept the order, it's going to tell you where you're going to pick it up. Actually, when it pops up asking you if you want to take the order, Uber Eats is a little better in that it tells you where you're picking it up from, and it gives you like 2 locations close to where you're dropping it off. So if you're dropping it off on a block off of 24th Street, it might say Smith and 24th. And it might not be one of those blocks, but it will be a block next to it. DoorDash doesn't really, it tells you where you're picking it up, but where you're dropping it off is a bit more vague. And I actually don't like it because it's hard to tell sometimes where it shows you a pinpoint of where you're going to drop your order off, but it's hard to tell sometimes if that's still in your zone or outside of your zone. First, I'll get to this at the end. I have something to say, but I'll wait till the end. The last thing that I want to talk about with the apps, well, actually, just 2 more things. One, when you're using DoorDash, this is what kind of downgrades the DoorDash app to me compared to Uber Eats. When you're using DoorDash, the GPS needs to be opened separately. So you're going to have to do your trip, if you want to use the GPS, because you don't have to, but assuming you don't know exactly where you're going, if you want to use the GPS, now you need to have two apps open. You got to have the DoorDash app open and the GPS app, and it's going to open it separately. In Uber Eats, they actually integrate the GPS into the app, so you don't need to leave the app to get directions and see where you're going. The last thing that may make a difference for some people is that Uber Eats will show you an estimate for the delivery and include the tip, but you don't actually get the tip until an hour after the delivery is complete, and the customer could change the tip if they want. DoorDash, as far as I've seen, will show you an estimate with the tip, and the tip is reflected once you finish the order. So it's important. Two different reasons. One is not an important reason because most people, it has happened though. Most people will, if it pops up and it says estimate 99 times out of 100 on Uber Eats, you will end up with that estimate. It will just be an hour later. But 1 out of 100 times, someone does lower the tip. So so it does suck if that happens. The second reason is just for your mind or your motivation or whatever while you're delivering on DoorDash, you're gonna always know what your exact amount that you earned is. Whereas Uber Eats, you're gonna start driving and it's gonna seem like a really low amount, and then after an hour or two, when all those tips start popping in, then it's gonna seem more reasonable. So that's basically the basics on how both apps work. The other part, which is, going and picking up food and delivering it, I could do a separate video on that. I delivered pizza for a lot of years, so the managing, because this is a job or a side gig or side hustle that isn't hard, but it could be frustrating at times, dealing with customers, dealing with the restaurants, being on the road and driving so much. So it isn't hard, but you do have to consider that. Also, if you're not good at, I wouldn't say stress, I would just say like slight pressure, because you are trying to get these orders done in a fast time. Even like if they don't care when the order takes, great. But if you take an hour to deliver an order that pays you $7, now you're getting paid $7 an hour, and you could go and do anything else and make more than $7 an hour. The point here is you want to either be, taking orders that are paying out a lot, or you want to be able to quickly do, and this is what I prefer, quickly do short orders and make your money that way. Because look, I didn't want to get into this in this video, but I will. You could easily get an order, drive 10 minutes to go pick it up, sit at the restaurant and wait 15-20 minutes to have them have it ready, and then drive 10 to 15 minutes to deliver it. Now, because you chose basically to handle it that way, because you could have A, not taken the order, or B, gone to the restaurant and seen that they were going to take forever and just canceled it and moved on. But because you chose to spend 20, 40, 45 minutes on that one order, like I said, if that one order, you might see, oh, well, this one order pays $10. And that's good for one order, right? But if you spend 45 minutes doing it, now you're making $10 an hour, which is not even minimum wage for most people, right? So at the end of the day, which one do I recommend? I prefer Uber Eats because of the freedom to leave the zone and to start wherever you are located. So say you live somewhere but you work somewhere else, you could get off of work and just start a delivery. Or if you are out doing something and you decide, hey, it looks kind of busy, let me do something, you could start it wherever. The other thing that really kills DoorDash for me is Uber Eats kind of has this problem too, in that you get an order and it takes you somewhere, it takes you somewhere that you don't want to be. And that doesn't mean like a bad area. It could mean, an area that's difficult to get to, or an area that's kind of isolated from other areas where you might want to deliver. But the problem with DoorDash, if if that happens in Uber Eats, at least you could get there, and it might give you another order that takes you somewhere better. But the problem with DoorDash is you get to that area that's outside of your zone, and now you have to waste time, gas, and money basically traveling back to your zone to get other orders. And that really kills it for me because the short time I was doing DoorDash, it was really cutting into like my earnings per hour because it would take me outside the zone and then I'd be spending 5 or 10 minutes driving back to the zone, and that's killing your earnings basically. So, like, to put a real number on it, I would say Uber Eats, like, I could confidently say, and now this is gonna change depending on what area you're at, but they kind of say that Uber Eats kind of projects you at like $30 an hour. That seems kind of high for me. I would say like 20 would be safe as what I would say you could make on there. And it does get up to 30, but it depends on the day. It depends on how the deliveries are coming. Some of these apps have promotions, and when they have promotions, things like $5 a trip for 25 trips, so that's 125 extra dollars. That helps boost up your earnings. But them saying 30 is high in my opinion because I find it hard to that people could be more efficient than what I'm doing. Sometimes the trips just don't pop up as fast as you want them. Sometimes the tips aren't there. So I would say 20 is fair. DoorDash was for me was less than 20. It was like 15. And the only reason I kept doing the DoorDashes is because they had a promotion of 20 trips gets you 200 extra dollars. So I was like, I need to finish this. But I was really not enjoying it, and I was not feeling like the earnings were where they needed to be. The last thing I really want to stress to you guys who are thinking about doing this is to just keep in mind that if I'm sitting here saying $20 an hour is plausible, that's using your car. So you might get a job that pays you $20 an hour and go sit in the office or even use their equipment, and that may seem like a lot of money or decent money, but when you're using your own car, you just got to factor in that that's not really $20 an hour. You're paying for gas. Eventually, something's going to happen to your car. I'm going to post, I think, another video later just talking about things that have happened to me while doing stuff like this that, were unfortunate because it does happen. So you're going to be putting money into your car, and that's going to eat into whatever money you're making. The best thing I could do is recommend that if you're going to do it, try and do it during lunch and dinner. Like, don't go on there during off hours because the trips aren't going to be there. And try and keep an eye out for promotions and prioritize doing it when there are promotions or something to kind of pad the pay a little more to make it higher. But hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did and you're thinking about signing up for either one of these services, I'm going to put like my little link, invite link down there because why not? I mean, if you want to use it, use it. If not, don't. But if you found the video helpful or you have questions, feel free to use it or ask questions down below and I'll try and answer what I can. Also, if you are someone who does this and maybe you disagree with me or you have different ideas, feel free to comment about those too. I know a lot of people recommend stuff like using more than one app, so like using both of these at the same time to increase your earnings, but I find it kind of difficult and pointless at times, especially with DoorDash not showing you exactly where you're going and needing to open up the GPS. So now you're gonna have like 3 apps using your GPS at the same time and try and manage them. It just became like a little, I didn't think it was a good idea. Felt like it was gonna slow me down using 2 instead of 1. But yeah, let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, let me know even if you didn't enjoy it. And I'll see you guys next time.